I worked in government for something like 20 years in a range of different government departments and different policy areas. So I started out in the Treasury, I was then a diplomat in the Foreign Office, the Cabinet Office, Department of Culture, Media and Sport, in a variety of different functions. So I've done a lot of policy advice. I've always worked very closely with ministers. I was a private secretary to a cabinet minister, ran a strategy unit within one government department. So I've been around the block a lot. And learnt an awful lot from that. For the last 10 years or so, I've been working very much in this field of doing training consultancy work, so really helping other people gain the benefit, really, of what I've picked up along the way. Alongside me on the programme, we'll be bringing in people who've really worked, again, at the heart of government, so people who've worked in roles of special advisors, people who've been ministers, people who have a real understanding of the relationships and the politics around that. You know, I've worked very much at the policy development front. The people we're bringing in speakers were people who have got a real understanding of that, plus all the relationships and how to make those relationships work, the sort of networking side of government, if you like, and the sort of, you know, the political dimensions to it. I think quite often the mistakes that businesses make are either they get a number of things. One is they feel we're doing our bit, we're responding to all the consultation exercises. Well, that just isn't enough. You know, by the time the consultation exercise is underway, pretty much decisions have been made, so your chance to influence it are minimal. You need to get in much earlier. Other things that happen are that businesses feel they're either because they're big or because they're part of a good network, that somehow government wants to hear from them. And it can come as a bit of a shock when we do some work with them to make them really understand who's on the radar for the people who are making decisions within government, and somehow they're not really there. And that's one of the things that we can do, is say, how do we get you onto that radar? Other things I think is just either not getting in at the right level, so not really getting to know people, the real people you do need to know, the ones who really have got the ear of the decision makers, or the ones who are really coming up with the ideas around which policy is going to be made, or getting so close to the right person but not thinking ahead, not thinking strategically. You know, the civil service has a huge churn. You know, typically somebody, once they've been in a job at at the right sort of level for really working on the direction of policy for, 3-4 years, they become a real expert, they move on, do something completely different, you get somebody new coming in. So the danger is businesses get very close to an individual who may be fantastic, but when that individual goes, you lose all of that investment that you've made in them. We find a lot of businesses say, fantastic, got a really good relationship with government, our CEO is, really good mates with, this minister and that minister. And further on down the organisation, we've got people who know the civil servants. But actually, somehow, they're not making that work for them. We can make that work and really help you to understand the wider picture, the bigger picture. Being a member of a trade organisation is, of course, vital in any business, and they do definitely add value because they listen to the voices of their members and they represent those, in Whitehall, in Parliament, with the decision-making organisations. But the difference is that, of course, a trade body can only be representative, so it'll take the views of all of its members and come to some decision about where the priorities are and take those forward. The real difference for you in coming on this programme is that you'll understand how to make this work for your business, so very, very specific to that, and really add value to what the trade organisation is doing for your industry as a whole, so that you can definitely take advantage of that, and we do work with trade associations ourselves, but you really add that layer of value, so the return on investment for you would be fantastic. There is a lot of training out there, and there's some very good training on kind of very generic things about how the system works. What's different about this programme is that you are getting it from people who really do know the heart of how government works, who've worked at the heart of it, the people who have been involved in the decision-making process, the ones who've had influence. Unlike regular training courses where you turn up and you sit in the room and you're given PowerPoint and you're given a package to take away. What this is about working with you. So it's like a consultancy in a way, where we're not going to pack the room with loads of people. It's about working with small numbers of people. You get a chance to work with them, network with them. That's, I think, valuable in its own right. But also the real difference about this is that you will get the opportunity to think about, how do I make all this extra knowledge and expertise work for me in my business? So it's much more in depth, and it's very much focused on your needs rather than on us telling you things that we think are interesting.